for this mental prepisode, we're going to talk about counting the hours, not the days. So this is something that I developed in one of my many attempts of quitting the smoking, and it is something that ever since I came up with the idea, I've used, and I put in my tool belt, and I've used every attempt that I've made since then. I will tell you that I was not very successful in the time that I quit with this particular technique, but I was more successful than I had been any time prior to it. I think I made it about 6 weeks, no nicotine. I also quit drinking at the same time. Basically, the way I came up with it, I realized that just 1 day or 2 days didn't feel like a big reward. I wanted to tell people how accomplished I felt because it was a huge feat for me personally, but I realized when I talked about it, it really didn't seem like that big of an accomplishment. Really, like 1 day, no smoking, good for you. You made it a whole day, but that day was rough. It was one of the most challenging things because people don't realize, especially non-smokers, don't realize your mind completely betrays you. It 100% works against you in the wildest ways. And to have self-control over that is a skill set that is very hard to build up. So since the battle of quitting is a struggle that is all day long due to the frequency of partaking in the habit, each hour a person can endure without smoking is a victory. It's a huge victory. We are a society that has been conditioned to enjoy higher numbers and view them as a measurement of achievement, so it only makes sense to do the same thing here. A relapse is always a result of losing one of these many battles, these many little micro battles. So every victory is not small, it's everything. So only counting 1 day at a time is not giving the struggle proper justice. While this technique is useful for the first 30 days, it is a psychological tool that can have an adverse effect by being used for too long. So let me break that down and help you understand. I recommend not counting the days beyond the 60-day point. This allows you to have a chance to start having days where smoking isn't even a thought that crosses your mind. Not thinking about it is the greatest asset, which should be protected at all costs. So when you are successfully past the 30-day mark and you're getting to the point where you're not really thinking about smoking all that much, and you get to the 60-day mark, stop counting the days. It doesn't matter anymore. You're not a smoker at that point. If you've made it 60 solid days without nicotine in your life, without smoking, not once, you've already made it past 1,000 hours at that point. Millions of minutes have gone by, and seconds. We know how long those minutes and seconds feel in those first couple days, but when you hit day 60, the days are kind of irrelevant at that point. You should just continue your life as a non-smoker, and before you know it, you'll hit 3 months, 4 months, half a year, and you'll roll around to the year point, and it will be great. But if you continue to count the days day by day, that means you will at least have one point in your day where you reminded yourself that you are not smoking and highlighted that. And it's not really necessary, because if you're not doing it, you really shouldn't be focusing on it. But in the first 30 days, it is an uphill battle. So every pat on the back you can possibly get is great, and it's wonderful, and it's going to help you get to that point where you're no longer mentally and physically addicted. You will have broken the habit of pairing it and having it so affluent and prevalent in your day. Affluent might not have been the word to use, but prevalent in your day. You think about how many cigarettes are smoked a day of somebody that smokes a pack of cigarettes. Well, they're probably smoking one when they get up. They're probably smoking one after they're done getting ready and they're on the way to their commute to work. They probably smoke one maybe during their commute or after the commute to work before they go into work. They're smoking on their break. They're smoking at the beginning of their lunch, perhaps in the middle of their lunch and the end of their lunch. They're smoking on their next break, and they're smoking once they get out of work, once they get home, after they've eaten, so on and so forth. There's all these areas that are now going to be void without smoking. It's going to be a large challenge, and each one of those moments going without the cigarette is a victory you need to be able to celebrate. So first 30 days, highly recommend it. I would start getting away from it the next 30 days and be completely done with it the final 60 days. I hope this tool is very beneficial to you guys. It was extremely beneficial to me, and you'll hear in the daily episodes, I will update people with how far they've made it. We'll express victories for milestones. Hitting the first couple days is a really big milestone. Hitting the first 100-hour mark, super big milestone. Getting the first week out of the way, huge. That is a tremendously large milestone, because if you can make it that far, you can definitely make it the rest of the way. My argument is if you can make it 3 days without any source of nicotine whatsoever, then you can make it the full 30. Those 3 days are ugly and brutal. Not to say that it can't get worse after the 3-day period. It can. It definitely can. It depends on how much preparation you've had, and it depends on what the circumstances are in your life. Some periods of time are calmer than others. Some are more stressful than others. And you have to learn how to, whatever stress comes your way during your quit period, that is what it is, and you just have to suffer through that. Again, we have to learn how to cope with stress differently and not pacify it with addictions and cravings and things that become kind of a nervous tick and more of an impulse than a conscious action. Sometimes the best way to deal with stress is just to wait it out and let time do its thing. So we'll continue with more Prepisodes for you. Thank you so much, and I hope counting the hours, not the days, works so well for you.